Good afternoon, everybody. I got to say, when you have the Father on your mind all the time, and you go into His Word and you look for His truths and try to find out where He's at in your life, from where you're at in Him, and He sinks you into the Word, and you go, just digesting things. And I want to show you something that I came up on today. It's quite interesting, actually. It is John 5, and this is talking about the man at Bethesda. This is the invalid guy who was injured, or so-called. I'm reading the New International Version simply because that's one of the books I have here, and I wanted to see how they play it out, because I want to see how the people have translated it. And this is interesting what we found. This is chapter 5 of John 5. Or John 5. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for a feast of the Jews. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie: the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. Here's where I found an interesting use of a word. And when I read it, it shocked me. One man who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. Invalid. An invalid. Now I know the definition of an invalid means that they're handicapped. But look at the word in its real sense. And apparently this man, and the description that they used for this man, for 38 years he'd been laying at this pool waiting for somebody to put him in the water. And he was invalid. He didn't matter. There's a sock in your soup. Because somebody's different than us, we register them as invalid. We judge them as unimportant. We see them as a handicap to us. Their situation we choose to make them invalid because we choose to look past them.
You don't want to fool with it.
Right. My wife says we don't want to fool with it. We don't want to be a part of that person's lives. They're not valid to us. They're not important to us. That breaks my heart. Because I've been that person. It's hard to think of being invalid. But that's how we see each other. Not anymore for me. All of you are valid.
Everyone has a purpose.
My Father, the Father of Creator of all things, wants me to tell you, my sisters and brothers, that you're valid, that you're important, that no matter what you're going through, you're important. If my heart is breaking, I can only imagine how the Father is breaking. His heart's broken because his children are running around calling each other invalid and handicapped and less than what they really are. There's no real quick answer to the problems of the world, but there is something we can all do, each one of us. We can validate each other, make somebody else's life better than yours, and do it anonymously so that person doesn't feel they owe you, because this is a debt system. And don't do it because you have to. Do it because it's all you can do. To all my brothers and sisters, you're valid. You're important. And I hope that by watching this, I can help somebody who feels invalid, who feels worthless to this world, because they've been sitting there for so many years and nobody sees them because they look a certain way, or because they're a handicap to our society. I don't even know what that means.
We're the ones handicapped.
My heart's breaking. Children of God, don't look at me. Hear my voice. Listen to the words. Hear my heart, please. The God of this world, I want you to feel stupid and invalid and worthless and sorry and unimportant
Guilty.
and guilty
And afraid.
and afraid. The Father doesn't want that. The Father wants you free. The Father wants you light. He doesn't want you to carry a bunch of burden. He wants you simply to love yourself. He wants you to give yourself credit. Now, all of this that you're hearing and seeing, it's not empty emotion. I know we all must face ourselves. That's the cross. And in knowing ourselves, we can fix what we're doing to cause ripples in the water. The spiritual you is not the physical you. The spiritual you is in a trap in this physical form. You were created spirit first. Jesus says, for God is spirit. We were created in His image. Spirit. Both male and female. Together. Not separate. We were captured by the enemies, Enki and Enlil, the god of this world, and his brother, Satan, the bad guy. Whoever they are, the important thing to remember is they took your spirit and they slammed it in this flesh suit, and they're running it through the program of Job to see if you'll break. All you have to do to get out of this prison, this test, is recognize my words. You are a child of God caught in a trap. You're stuck in a flesh suit that's gonna die. But you're eternal. You and all of us, all of creation, all the spirits of everything in the physical form was in spirit form first. And it came here for the testing of Job. This is for the perfection. This is the refinement. The more you put gold into the furnace, the purer it gets. To get it to its purest form, it must go through an extremely hot fire. And in its purest form becomes perfectly clear. Clear, transparent. Spirit form. This is a purification program that you are in. You are in a matrix, if that's what you want to call it. You're in Satan's system. The prisoners that are physically put in jail are evidence of what we spiritually have had happen to us. This is hard to understand because the doctrines of the church, the belief system of man, not God. The church has doctrines that are not of the Father. Hence, the Pharisees are living by man's law, just like the preachers of today. They don't have a choice. It's called a 501c3 contract. Ask your preacher about it. They are relegated by law and hindered in saying this. Even if your preacher knows this, if he's in a 501c3 contract, he cannot say this. Which means, because you're in a church, you're not receiving truth. You're receiving doctrine. And if you don't know what a doctrine is, it's a statement that leaves no way out. A doctrinal statement is, you're gonna die. No. The truth of that is the flesh must die. You are eternal. That's a truth, not a doctrinal statement. But the church can't tell you that. If they did, you wouldn't be sitting in their pews and paying them their dollars to keep their doors open. The church that you must build is the church within you. You must purify, sanctify, and raise up your temple to the Father, the real God. The God who loves you unconditionally. You must simply follow the rule. Love unconditionally yourself and your everywhere, your whole, everything about you, you should love. Everything that comes in front of you, you should love unconditionally. Unconditionally means if you're holding something against somebody, forgive them that debt. Even if they don't know that they're owing you, forgive them that debt. If somebody owes you money, let it go. You're serving that God. The words "in God we trust" are written on that dollar bill because they're hoping that you take it as a payment of debt. I don't want you to be in debt. Neither does the Father. He doesn't hold anything over you. He allows that to happen by yourself. You judge yourself. And you don't have a right to step up as God and judge some other person because you think it's wrong. That just means it's wrong for you. And that's how you need to see it. Stay out of their lives. You're not living in their lives. You don't know if it's wrong for them. This is a simple way of living. Stay into yourself in judgment. Don't consider yourself to be a judge of anyone. If you are to judge anything from anyone, It would be judgment of their fruits. Are they judging other people? And why? Because the purpose of the fruits show you the reason the fruits are there. We are all guilty of eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, believing that we are God and can judge other people's actions and condemn them or praise them or even worship them. I worship the Father within me. I give him the power over my kingdom. That's all he wants, is for you to lose control of the flesh. Have no power. Animate as he tells you. Love your brothers and sisters beyond yourself. These are the laws of Jesus, and he speaking the laws of Father, just as I and others like me are speaking these truths. Search your scripture. Understand it with a different light. See that the God of this world is in the Old Testament acting as God. Satan is in there acting as God. 29,000 people died because they were hungry, begging for food at the bottom of Mount Sinai. And because the God at the top of that mountain couldn't hear their problems anymore, he smote them. Doesn't sound like a God I want to serve. Recognize the culprit in the chicken house. Recognize the thief in your house, stealing your stuff. Everything physical has been made in the image of spiritual. Everything you have to fix, the only world you have to fix, is the one that dwells inside of you. Please listen, family. This is imperative. I love you. And I pray you hear my words. And I pray the Father stir within you the waters. I love you guys completely. Thank you for listening.